Customary Court sitting in Mapo, Ibadan has ruled that a 25-year-old relationship between Jimoh and Aminat was never a marriage since no bride price was paid. Jimoh had approached the court seeking dissolution of their union on grounds of abandonment, violence, and threat. He told the court that Aminat walked out after 18 years, leaving their two young children behind, and later moved in with another man. He said she returned years later to take custody of the children, sending people to threaten him. Jimoh prayed for custody of both children and an order restraining Aminat from interference. In her defense, Aminat denied his claims but agreed to end the union, insisting they had shared financial responsibility for their children. She also sought custody. Court President Mrs. O.E. Owoseni ruled that since no customary rites were performed, the pair were only cohabiting, not married. She held that Aminat abandoned her children when they most needed her and left for another man. Owoseni granted custody of the second child to Jimoh, noting the boy's need for his father's mentorship as he enters puberty. The first child, now in tertiary education, was deemed old enough to choose where to stay. Both parents were ordered to share financial responsibility for the boy's upkeep. I mean, what do you think about this judgment, Kolawole Adedire?
I think it's a fair judgment. You know, from my perspective, I think it's fair.
Okay.
And what makes it fair is the fact that the legal things, the traditionally legal things, if I put it that way,
right,
they're not done, right? Bride price was not paid, and they have had kids. And these things happen in our society a lot. If you make a research, you find out that there are many marriages that are just not marriages, and like this report has said, it's just cohabitation, where two people are just living together and they have had kids and whatnot. And it's a bit sad that people will do this, you know. I'm not even going to blame the husband or the man or the woman, but the fact remains that when you are getting married, or when you tend to get married, just try to do the right things. You know, pay the bride prices as men, and as women, we should also ensure that that is done. And if it's a thing where you also need to do the court marriage too, you can also do it. But for this case, I think the judgment is fair, given that, like most people say, which I also think as an outcome of truth, you know, boys need men in their life mostly. And also, they still need their mothers. I mean, no, it's these things that are going to trickle down and affect the kids in the long run, just like the first story we had today. When you check these things, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. And we live in a society where where kids are being grown under situations like this, you know, like separated marriages, divorce marriages. It tends to affect the psychology of kids, which will definitely become adults in the future. That's when you find out that some kids grow up being angry because literally they feel, I don't know how best to explain, but I think it's more like a psychological thing. Because a home where both parents are present in love and harmony and peace, it will definitely reflect on the psychology of the kid. But where you have situations where the mother leaves at some point, or the father leaves at some point, then there is this drag going to court here and there. Find out that this thing will eventually affect the kids, because even whoever wins custody would literally have to just have a story to keep telling this kid until this kid grows up. And when the kid grows up, questions will be asked, and all of this whole drama and whatnot. But so people trying to exist or coexist in marriages, try to make things work, try to have conversations, and to avoid things like this happening. I mean, I know that there are some marriages that might not be so good in the end. It's not always rosy. I'm sure she had her reasons for leaving. But yeah, it could have been done in a much more. It's not a pleasant situation.
No, sadly so. In the United States, I think it was late last month, there was a new decree and a new law. If you have cohabited with somebody for 5 years, your marriage certificate is going to be sent to you by the courts. Right. Now, these people have been together at approximately 18 to 20 years. Do you think that that sort of law should be emulated in Nigeria? I mean, at what point do we move from, if a man and a woman have lived together, say 10, 15 years, many marriages do not last more than 2 years. So marriages do not last. I mean, I saw someone's story. She personally was telling her story on social media where she talked about how she got married in July, I think July 16th, and by August she was divorced. I think she got married in June, and by August she was divorced. I think it was about a 2-month marriage that, everything was done, the dowry was paid, and everything was done. I did stumble on another similar story again yesterday where someone got married and by the next month, that marriage was over. For people to have been able to cohabit and stay together for, 5 years, 10 years, do you think that there should be a law that stipulates that they are automatically married to each other, whether they choose to pay the dowry or they choose to do it, in the legal way?
Well, it depends. It depends. But
Okay.
I think in a society like the West, it's they I don't they are much more, if I may say, system organized. Like
Okay.
they try to make sure they try to make sure their policies and laws guiding everything, and in a way that makes the society much more organized, right?
Right.
And when you stay with someone for literally 5 years, like the law has been initiated over there, you are automatically married to that person. That just makes people be aware of the situations they find themselves in. But in a place like Nigeria, I doubt such things can be put into motion. That is because we are in an African society, and we know how marriages work in different traditions.
Right.
But even in these different traditions, there are similarities, and one of the major similarities across many African societies, pardon me, is the fact that bride prices or bride price dowry must be paid. So if that is not even paid, I mean, I don't, even if you stay together for 30 years or 50 years, you find out that they'll tell you to come and pay. There are
Do you
cases,
think that
I've
people
heard
run away
stories.
from paying this dowry because of how expensive it is to pay in certain climes? Do you think that could be a reason that makes, because when people choose to cohabit, I'm sure that the lady's family, for example, is expecting that, okay, maybe this man is going to show up at some point. What do you think the drawback is to not pay or go ahead to pay in 18 years, as we are seeing in this story? Do you think the drawback might have stemmed from, not having the money to pay? Might have stemmed from maybe the dowry or the bride price being more in certain customs. I've heard it's a lot. You spend so much to get to marry someone from that particular area. Or do you think it stemmed more from, because you've had a child for me, there is no essence for me to put money on your head?
Um, it could be a couple of reasons. It could be the fact that it's maybe expensive for some,
Okay.
but I don't think that should be a thing. Given that 18 years, I mean, even if it was expensive, I'm sure by the time you have stayed 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you should be able to see the family and literally have an agreement, right? Because the woman is already living with you for 5 years, talk less of 10, talk less of 18. So in some cases, it might sound funny, but I've heard of stories. Some people might call it beer biologists, but I've heard of beer biologists where the man is not just serious. Because when yeah, I mean, I've said it on this way. Some people are not meant to even be in a marriage in the first place. There are some men that are just unserious. They just don't want to date. Some feel um, they don't need to or they don't have to. I've even had a situation. This one is even close to my family where the man is refusing to pay, and literally nobody is even trying to deal at this point. It's supposed to be in the first place, the significant is more of a significance, right? It's
Right.
not really about the money for some. So
Mm.
at this point, family was even telling the woman involved, tell him to just come. It's just the significance. It could even be as low as 50 naira, but let him just come and do the needful. And this man keeps running away. So what do you call that? So for some, I feel that
Why
you
do
are
you
more
think?
serious.
Why do you think he was refusing to even show up at all to pay?
I'm not sure why. That's why I said maybe some of them are just not serious. Some people, as funny as it may sound, taking responsibility is hard for some people. And the fact that you are going to pay down, it means you are literally saying you are taking responsibility for this person. And some men do not want to take responsibility. They feel once they do that, you'll be held accountable for literally everything. So they would rather want to exist in that whole cohabitation, like this scenario. I'm not sure what happened, but 18 years is the long term to not, do the needful. And that's why it has ended like this. Who knows? Maybe that's the reason why the woman even left. Because
Right,
I might even blame her. Because staying 18 years is the long time to
right.
wait for someone to pay your bride price. So I mean, just to digress a bit, there are even traditions where if you don't pay this dowry, and God forbid, something happens to the woman, you will have to even pay
Yes.
right after the woman dies. That's how serious it is. So we live. I mean, we live. The Bible says, "Give unto Caesar, that which is that which is his." Right? We live in a society where that is important. People should do these things traditionally, and if you want to take it a step further, make sure you do the legal one as well.
Thank you so much for your insight.